So what did Joe Jonas hear Sophie Turner say in that Ring camera footage that allegedly broke up the divorce? Well, sources have come forward with the answer, along with a smoking gun letter that Sophie Turner is using to obliterate Joe in divorce court. We got the details. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and I do have to say I'm glad to hear that these two have at least agreed to settle in New York for now. That is good to hear that they're not fighting over Florida and London still. They have agreed both to live in New York for the time being while they sort out everything else in court. For the sake of the kids, I hope they agree to a lot more sooner than later, but we shall see. It doesn't seem like anything is going to die down anytime soon. In fact, Sophie is now using a letter as evidence that I got to say is not helping Joe at all. We're going to get there in a second. You're not going to miss that part. But let's start here with what I teased. Yes, this came out a couple days ago while we were out. I wanted to make sure I caught you guys up. Here's what Joe Jonas heard Sophie Turner say on that Ring camera footage. Now, this has come through multiple sources, Us Weekly, TMZ, several, take it as you will, but several sources have come forward to sort of confirm this. And yeah, here's what it was. A report claimed Jonas had discovered something scandalous via footage from their security camera at home prior to filing. The first source says the camera caught Turner saying some not so nice things about Jonas to a pal. It wasn't anything more than that, the source says. But that was the final straw. The final straw, indeed, that made him go do that. Now, TMZ also, previous sources there, said that he witnessed his wife saying or doing something that made him realize their marriage was over. And that's how it was sort of put into the press. Allegedly caught Sophie in compromising Ring camera footage before filing. The way it was put out there from Team Jonas made it seem like she was doing something awful. But the reality was she was apparently talking to a friend and just had some not so nice things to say about her husband. Now, I don't know about you. I've been married now twice. Marriage can be hard. Marriage is work. Marriage is amazing, right? But marriage, two people always having to agree, can sometimes create some heads butting, can create some animosity, some feelings, right? Emotions. When you love someone that much, you can also get angry at that person that much. So marriage is work. You gotta plant those seeds and nourish that love and make it work. And yeah, some days you have issues with your partner. So the fact that, for me, if this is true, the fact that Joe was eavesdropping on private conversations of Sophie's with her pals, listening to what she's saying about Joe or having someone else do it, I don't know who's doing it. If this is true and he's listening to this, one, weird red flag out the gate. Two, you don't want her to be able to talk honestly to her friends to like sort that out? Because that's a thing. Am I crazy? Tell me in the comments down below. You want to sometimes be honest to your friends about your partner. It's a place you can. And usually good friends are there to help remind you and help you, set you back on a good path or tell you to talk to your partner, etc., to sort those feelings out. To just immediately rush to divorce after hearing your partner talk about you in private. I don't know, man. Do you guys disagree that this seems like an extreme reach? Now, I would have confronted and been like, I heard this. I would have had to justify, well, why were you eavesdropping on me, right? There's a lot there that's sort of like nuclear. So I wouldn't even have been in that situation in the first place. But if I was Joe in that situation and I heard this somehow, maybe I heard it offhand from another room, whatever, I'd want to talk to my wife. I'd be like, why do you feel it? Really? Are you unhappy? What can we do to make this happy? Is this over? Like, you'd want to have a conversation about it, you'd think, right? Apparently not. That's what the final straw was that sent Joe off to divorce, and then used that to his advantage to put her in a compromising position. Now, it does make it clear that what was actually said, sadly, is still not out there. Details are still unsure, but it was enough for Jonas to file for divorce in early September. And obviously reps are not coming back. Joe is exploring the best options for his future. So it just seems like he was offended hearing Sophie speak honestly. And yeah, I wonder, sometimes partners speak honestly. Sometimes it's complicated. Sometimes you got the kids. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes you're unsure. You got to have those conversations with your partner to be fair, but we shouldn't criticize. Grant, I don't know what was said, but do you hear what I'm saying? Should he have just immediately jumped to that conclusion? I guess it depends what was said. If it was really nasty, sure. But that we don't have the specifics of what actually was said, but it was enough talking behind his back, bad-mouthing him, that he felt like he needed to leave. Now, that said, here's how Sophie's also getting to Joe aggressively And I got to say, I think her team's got a good win here because look, so there was a smoking gun letter that's being used now. This letter was being used to obliterate the divorce petition in Florida. The 300-word smoking gun missive shows that as of July 2023, Joe Jonas had no intentions of blindsiding Turner, and in fact was planning to live in a forever home in England, where they signed a contract and put down a 10% deposit for a $9.1 million spread in Wallingford, Oxford. The letter, apparently written to the homeowners, shows Jonas gushing like one of his teenage fans about the beautiful landscape and how the property was an ideal home for the couple's 2 daughters, ages 3 and 1. Here's now what Joe said. When my wife and I decided we were going to spend more time in the UK and search for a permanent home, our oldest daughter expressed 3 unwavering requirements: having chickens, a pony, and a Wendy house. Stated that the letter was included in Turner's motion to get it dismissed. While many of the houses we viewed met this criteria, the moment we saw the corner and caught sight of the charming blue shutters adorning, we experienced a sense of magic unlike anything we've ever felt before, Jonas enthused. Stepping into your beautiful walled gardens, we were greeted by the sight of your children enjoying a delightful picnic in the dolloped shade of a tree, accompanied by a macrame swing. It was simply heavenly. I've been completely charmed by the idea of dropping my children to school on the boat and being able to spend a leisurely afternoon cruising the pub with friends on our very own boat. You have designed your home beautifully. I was incredibly inspired by the layout. Anyway, you're getting the idea. This guy was sold, wanted this house, and made it clear this was going to be the forever home for him and his children. Couldn't help but notice the musicality of your house. The fact that it has a huge room ready to be my recording studio is amazing. There's nothing about the design we want to change. I really think Sophie and I will be able to look after and for many, many years, pay homage to the magic you have created. And then Turner's father. My father-in-law is an incredibly keen gardener and was suitably impressed by your vegetable garden too. A very important sign-off. So here you got this letter where Joe's admitting, and this is literally about a month and a half ago. Joe, 31st. So, and this happened in the early September. That's wild. You put a 10% down payment. Now, granted, Sophie could have done something egregious. He heard something egregious that suddenly made him call it all off. He has that right. But the idea was that we were never going to live in England. Oh, yeah? Says you. Says you. Right here. We want to spend more time in the UK for a permanent home for our daughter. Here's what we want. You have them. We want this. And then they put 10% down, all this stuff. This doesn't look good for you, Joe. This doesn't look good for you. So Sophie has another win in her belt. And as if that wasn't enough, oh man, I hate these ads. How do they get away with, how do you read an article? There we go. As if that wasn't enough, Taylor Swift has loaned Sophie Turner and the kids in a New York City apartment during the bitter legal town. So Taylor steps up and is like, you guys can live in New York here while you figure this out. My goodness, Taylor stepping up to help. She was so hurt by Joe. Sophie then made an appearance and loved Taylor, and they met, and Joe was like, hey, hi, yeah, I'm back. Sorry about everything. And then but clearly Taylor was taken by Sophie and the grace of Sophie Turner. Sophie then is then also decimated by Joe, and Taylor steps up like the queen that she is like, whatever you need. Yeah, you need a house in New York? I got your back, girl. Anything to stick it to Joe, who has stuck it to far too many women. Yikes. So there we go. Superstar has been by her side since then, taking her dinner, keeping her entertained. While she's touring and doing all this stuff, she made time for this. I mean, man, her feelings against Joe must have been extreme for her to step up to this level. But I say, good for her. Someone in need, and she needed it, so Taylor's helping her. But yeah, anyway, Taylor is winning this with Sophie. Joe, it is not helping your cause that all this is going down. So here's Sophie with the kids staying in this place in New York, which Taylor has offered up. I got to say, not looking good for Joe. Joe came out strong, right? Came out strong, and everybody ran in to blame Sophie as the bad mom, boozing it up, yada, yada, cheating, sleeping around. What a horrific choice, Joe. What a terrible choice from your team. Who else would have done it? It makes no sense why anyone else would have done that. So good on you, Sophie. Look, Now, could this have been more? I'm curious your thoughts. I want to see them in the comments. Before you go down in the comment, make sure you're still subscribed. Hit the bell for alerts so you get notified, so you know when we have breaking news. Hit the thumbs up as well. And tell me your thoughts down below. What do you think? Do you think this was really just her bad-mouthing? And do you think it was weird he was listening? And do you think it was so bad and egregious what she could have said to a friend about him that it warrants just dipping and turning away a $8 million home you just put 10% on? What do you think's happening? Is there more to this story than we're being told? I want to hear your thoughts down below. Team Joe, Team Sophie, so far, where do you stand? Let me know and stay tuned for more news here on Popcorn Planet. Also, follow us on Instagram at Popcorn Planet.